We want you to really pay attention to what Harris said to Oprah. This was not an interview on like an Oprah show. This was at a campaign event where the questions are pre-written. And still Harris, again, just makes a bizarre, takes an easy question and makes it bizarre.
That's right, Rick. We want to get your take on this. This is from the Unite for America event that Kamala Harris sat down with Oprah Winfrey, a featured speaker at the DNC. So I'm sure that she's very non-biased in her journalistic ethics when it comes to these questions that were probably pre-approved. Let's go ahead and roll this bite 2.
I'm a gun owner. Tim Walz is a gun.
I did not know that.
If somebody breaks in my house, they're getting shot.
Yes, I hear that.
Probably should not have said that.
But
my staff will deal with that later.
So, Rick, I want to go right to you on that one. The tone she used and the way she ended it, I think, was the most bizarre and destructive part of that answer. I think if she had just stuck with it, said it seriously, like, yeah, I'm a gun owner because I want to protect my family, and, you know, as a prosecutor, probably had to carry a gun, so I know how to do it. And if someone enters my home, you know, I know that I've got that safety. Not laughing about it and then like almost apologizing for it, and then saying, you know what, which I think this is a preview, Rick, of the entire, what a Harris administration would look like is, my staff will clean it up.
Yeah, look, I think the reality is that she is the panderer in chief. She'll change her talking point to say, you know, I'm going to shoot somebody who comes into my home, and then, you know, immediately say, because the base she knows is not going to be happy. I've seen this all over social media. Her base is not happy, where she says, oh, I probably shouldn't have said that. This is absolutely typical Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. They want to pander when it's 2 months, 3 months before an election to pretend like they're, you know, not against fracking anymore. But the reality is that Kamala has spent her entire life trying to deny and mock gun ownership. And so the idea that she suddenly has a gun, you know, if we had a real press corps, somebody would say, when did you get the gun? What kind? Where did you go through training? Like, there's a whole bunch of questions that we need to be asking. But she just issues press releases, and our media just regurgitate the press release and act like this is somehow vetting. She is unvetted. She's been unvetted since she came to California.
Yeah, I mean, Rick, I look at this, I look at these kind of statements, and it's like, you know, she can have the gun. You know, they're talking about handguns here. They're not talking about the rifles that they always want to ban. But, you know, the majority of American gun owners, you know, they may have a plethora of guns. They may have one gun. And if they do have one gun, it's usually maybe either a shotgun they inherited from a grandfather or a handgun to protect their family. And those are the kind of people who get really nervous when the Democrats start talking about seizing weapons and buyback programs. It's people who are lawful, law-abiding gun owners who hope they never have to use that weapon.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, these are serious issues. The Second Amendment is one of those issues that we feel very strongly as people who are skeptical of government. And Kamala Harris is not skeptical of government. She loves big government. And so the idea that somehow she's on our side because she jokingly said with Oprah that she owns a gun. And by the way, let's be clear, Oprah was even surprised that she owned a gun and was shocked. And this is, you know, so pandering, so typically political. And I just have to go back, Jordan. This works in California. It does not work in swing states. People know that she is a panderer. By the way, if she really, truly owned a gun and was proud of it, she would have already said this, you know, not just 6 weeks before the campaign.
It's not so much that she says she's a gun owner and Walz, who was in the military, is a gun owner. It's the fact that they laugh about killing people and yet they mock so many of us who are gun owners. Like, you can't have it both ways.
Look, let's be clear, whether or not she decided to announce her gun ownership 7 weeks or 8 weeks, a week earlier, either way, it's political. You know, I'm a Californian. I did not know this about her. She should have been clear about this a long time ago. But if we had a press corps, we would know. When did she get the gun? When did she go through training? When did she get her permit? All of these issues are important. But I think, if Mike's point is we should be happy that she owns a gun, I am. But I just find it very suspect that she all of a sudden is doing this 8 weeks before an election when she has her entire career mocked us and worked against the Second Amendment, her entire career.
Right. And I think that's why she laughed about it and said her staff's going to have to clean it up, Rick, is because, she realized in that moment that she represents a party that doesn't like hearing that there's a chunk of people that don't like hearing that the candidate would even have a gun themselves, that would be wrong or somehow against the party platform. I do want to go to another issue, unfortunate issue. We represent the Nevada Green Party in a last-minute effort to get to the U.S. Supreme Court. We did get to the U.S. Supreme Court, Rick. We got to Kagan, but Kagan, after a round of briefing and a reply brief by us, referred it to the entire court. All you get, and I'll put it on the screen, I said it to Rick earlier, is a one-pager with basically two sentences. You want to read that out, Will? Can you read it out?
Yeah, it says the application to vacate injunction presented to Justice Kagan and by her referred to the court is denied.
Yeah. So, Rick, I think if I had to write the opinion, and they don't here, I think there were two issues. And, Supreme Court is always the place of last resort. We got it to the justices. Usually that doesn't even happen. But there were two issues here. One is the timing, the Democrats filing so late that it made it difficult for the ballot printing. And two, I think, Rick, this is a big reminder for conservatives listening to this show right now. Even if you go to the Secretary of State's office and they tell you, no, don't use this form, and here's the rule book. Make sure your attorneys go through the rule book before you start using any form the Secretary of State's office gives you to make sure it has everything that rule book says it must have, because unfortunately, Rick, we can no longer trust our government officials in these positions, especially when they've got a D next to their name.
I think that this is such a amazing moment for AClj. To put this in perspective, the Green Party of Nevada was kicked off the ballot. Green Party is obviously a far left organization, and they were kicked off the ballot in Nevada. Very few people were willing to take this case and say, that doesn't fit well. That's not democracy. That's not pro-democracy. But AClj and our amazing lawyers jumped in to say, you know what, we're going to defend them because it's the right thing to do. And so I'm so proud to be a part of this organization because we do the right thing. And we're not as political as people think we are. And I love working with the lawyers and the whole team. But I have to say, Jordan, it takes money, obviously. We stepped out. I don't even think we had time to fundraise to do something like this. But we stepped out. We immediately did the right thing. We worked very hard over the last week, taking it to the Supreme Court. We have so many organizations across the United States that talk. And what I'm proud of with AClj is that we do. And we jumped in to help in Nevada, the Green Party. Not necessarily a conservative party, but it was the right thing to do because it was a pro-democracy move. And our team jumped in. We did the right thing. We didn't even ask about the cost. We just knew it had to be done. And that's why I'm proud to be a part of this organization. I hope people will absolutely recognize that we're out on the front lines, not just talking, but doing, and I hope that they'll support us.
Thank you, Rick. As always, we appreciate you being part of a team.